very warm welcome back to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast. My name is Dom and you are
Ant.
And here we are celebrating the greatest wrestlers from our beginnings in the early 80s right up until right now.
So what we've
right
done...
now, as in like right now, as in like 2017.
As in SummerSlam 89.
SummerSlam 89, exactly.
So we're taking all the pay-per-views. This only counts pay-per-views and not necessarily what's happened on main event or...
Give me a whole year context.
This is just Gimme a Whole Year. Please disagree with us as much as you want. We disagree with each other, so that's great.
Or agree with us, because otherwise we'll find you and we'll come and spread our whole yearness all over you. No, I'm kidding.
Or anthrax, one or the other.
What? Right. Why would we spread anthrax? We don't have anthrax. Mr. Trump, we don't. No. We don't have any anthrax.
Number 10.
Are we protesting too much?
Way too much.
Way too much.
You're protesting, I'm not.
Okay, I'm too wobbly to have anthrax.
Number 10 on the Gimme a Whole Year's Greatest Wrestlers is not actually a wrestler per se. He's been in a couple of matches, and his name is Bobby the Brain Heenan. He had such an impact on the wrestling that we've watched from 85 to 89 that we felt it was worth putting him in the list. He has had a couple of matches. He was okay as a wrestler, but he got involved in a hell of a lot of matches and he was able to take a bump.
Yeah.
He was an incredible dude, an incredible talent. And if you look at...
Very underrated. Like we'll do at some point a list of underrated wrestlers during our coverage time, and I think his impact, certainly by myself, because this was mainly your pick. Heenan was mainly your pick in this list. You taught me around, and I understand his legacy and his impact. But yeah, it's certainly quite underrated. You know, other guys, like Jesse, same thing. Jesse has the... Again,
we was talking about putting Jesse on the list. The problem is Jesse didn't actually wrestle. He was guest referee for one match, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But Jesse had such an impact on programming, and to watch it back, these Jesse and Heenan are some of the best parts to watch this era of wrestling back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why we put Heenan on the list.
So Heenan was 10, and there's a couple of other honourable mentions aside from Jesse. You put in basically quite a lot of tag teams. So we had Demolition was in there.
Shall we read them out at the end to not give away the rest of the list?
Oh yeah, okay.
Let's do that.
Good idea. Let's keep
on the fly.
Let's
on the Superfly, one might say.
Yeah, on the Superfly,
which takes us sweetly into number 9, which is
Hot Rod
Piper, not Jimmy the Snooker.
Not Jimmy the Snooker.
Jimmy
Snooker. Or what was it? Hot Scott.
Hot Scott from the last pay-per-view, WrestleMania 5.
Anyway.
Why did you put Piper in this list then? Because this was your choice.
Oh really. Yeah, no. Piper's legacy in terms of his overall legacy then and now. Just an incredible performer. Like he had quite a sizable break, but in terms of his, he was the unhinged. He was the creative, very creative with his character work, and just a joy to watch. More so than a lot of other people, and I'm talking about in the ring and outside.
Great promos.
A lot of action in the ring. Was very stale at this point in time. A lot of the same moves.
It was quite brawly.
Yeah, a lot of the same moves were being used. A lot of roll ups, a lot of count outs, a lot of 2-befores. And Roddy Piper was a brawler who mooned people, and this he was very entertaining, very much like Dusty Rhodes, who comes into this discussion later, but also just a very entertaining watch.
He was entertaining,
and that's why that's why he was my pick. And obviously, I'd like to hear your opinion because you agreed to him being in the list.
I agreed to him being in the list. I think his legacy. He was part of the main event in WrestleMania 1. Ultimately, he was, as well as other people that haven't made the list, but he was the focal point for Hogan in WrestleMania 1. He left for a long time to film They Live and stuff like that, but when he's come back, he has brought a lot of life into it. There was, now which one is it? With a Brother Love segment. Oh, yeah. And it's a really crappy pay-per-view, but that segment is actually quite entertaining. Yeah.
And that's got a little bit of a pun in there because there's lots of smoking that's going on, but yeah, and he uses a fire extinguisher. Yeah. But yeah, that whole thing lights up the pay-per-view just really brings it together. I think
it did.
A highlight of our time covering Piper for
So
sure.
I can agree with Piper being especially with his early stuff and later stuff.
Yeah, next one was a bone of contention for you, because I don't think you put Warrior.
I nearly didn't put. Yeah, so number 8 is Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
I nearly didn't put him in the list.
And I put him at number 2 on my before we came together to build our mutual list.
Yeah, number 2.
He was
so
number
you had
2
him
for
very
me,
high.
so I had him very high.
Very high.
I'm not a fan of Warrior as a performer, but in terms of his overall impact on this period of time, the time we're covering, you can't really ignore him, in my opinion. Obviously, his character was entertaining. His ring work was terrible. I was not a fan. I think mainly my criticisms of the Warrior come in the ring.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, we've got Heenan in this list, and we've got other people, that don't even need to be in the ring to make a great impact. And I think that for better or worse, the way he impacted kids, he impacted young people. He inspired young people with the face paint and just his energy. Like I said, I don't think he's as a relatable character as, say, a Dusty Rhodes or Jimmy, just a likable character like Jimmy Snuka, who
I mean, he's coming quite late into our watching, so it's like between it was 88 Royal Rumble or 89.
It was around that time.
It was quite late.
Yeah.
I don't think he's made that great an impact. No, he's made a great impact from that point, but not necessarily for the rest. So I think that's why I didn't include him on the list. And also, I think people that come in around the same time, I enjoy watching more as a wrestler, which is why I've put them higher up on the list.
I enjoy watching Piper more than I enjoy watching Warrior, but I believe that, again, impact, he deserves to be here.
With a list, you've got to take a lot of stuff into account with a list like this.
If you want to make the list.
Yeah. So
you've got to have it.
Are we done with the Jericho punch? Should we move on to number 7?
Yeah, seven's a big pick.
7 is a big pick. 7 was a difficult pick for us, actually.
Well, it wasn't for you. Well, actually, no. We both did. We both forget Andre?
I think we both forgot Andre. Andre the Giant is number 7.
We both. You can't really slide Andre anywhere, but we both slid him in because we realised we'd kind of dropped the ball.
I think because of this stuff that we've been watching more recently with Andre, it's been a lot slower. He was getting sick, and he like the Survivor Series match in '89 where he disappears out the ring, and it's sort of there's no threat in that main event. Then he was a threat, and we have to remember that WrestleMania 3 match is one of the greatest matches of this time, with him and Hulk Hogan, and that felt like a threat, and that's why he's on the list for the earlier stuff. Yeah. And when you think about it, people talk about Undertaker's streak with so much reverence. Andre the Giant before WrestleMania 3 had never lost a match.
Yeah, I think
that's 15 years.
It's all down to how media's developed. It's all down to the way we consume stuff. That's the only reason Undertaker's streak has the problems it does. Yeah, is because of the time we live in.
Yeah, but Undertaker's streak was 21 matches. Yeah, right. But Andre was 15 years.
There's Andre's matches that are lost. You wouldn't find Andre's matches on the WWE Network, or a lot of them. You can't find everything that Andre's ever done, whereas you can for the Undertaker. So it's down to.
We have to take in 85 to 89.
It's down to media, and I believe while Andre's streak is better, I understand why Undertaker's has more prominence, but whether it should or not is debatable. Yeah. So Andre's definitely.
And I thought his especially in that WrestleMania 3, I thought his promo work was really good, and I thought he was exciting at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that Swan song where he goes out at the end was brilliant.
Yeah, nice Swan song in WrestleMania 6.
Couldn't be better.
A nice face turn at the right time.
Rest in peace. Andre and Strowman. There's another dream match.
There we go.
That's one for
2 giants.
There we go. Anyway, yep.
Next on the list. Now, I had this person a lot higher. I had this person at number 2, and you dragged him down.
He was at 7 for me.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is in at number 6. Why did you drag him down?
Well, he was only, to be fair, he was only at 7. But yeah, he was a great performer, but just didn't capture my attention. Again, this time, in this age, 2017, we have colourful performers that really have to work on their character work before they'll even get to NXT or before they'll even get to developmental territory. It seems like a lot of these guys just didn't have the personality. And Steamboat just doesn't have that personality. I would have put Snuka in here over Steamboat.
Oh, really?
In terms
But not in terms of that.
In terms of his character, but Steamboat's performance, his ring work
Was exceptional.
Which is why I have agreed to him being on the list in the position he's in.
Part of the reason I put him higher is because I think his character work in the ring is excellent. I don't necessarily think his promo work was brilliant, but I think in the ring, the chops that he'd give and the poses that he'd go in, I thought it was excellent.
In the ring, I'm not arguing in the ring.
And also other names that we get to in this list, I think that their best matches, and we'll come to it at number 5, I think their best matches was with Steamboat. And for that reason, I thought whenever Steamboat was on the card, especially in the 85 to 88 time, you was going to get a match out of it. His early matches with, we'll talk about as we go. So, anything else to add?
No, I'm a big fan of Steamboat's in-ring work, and it justifies his place on our list, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Number 5. Now, I'm gonna let you talk about 5 because I go on and on and on and on about this pick. Pretty much in every episode.
This pick, and
but you've allowed him to be in the position he's in.
I have, yes.
So tell me why you've allowed him to be so high.
Partly because you'd have him at number 1, if not probably. And I know you didn't, but you'd had him at number 4.
No, he was at 4.
The reason is, I think he is great. I think that number 5 is Jake the Snake Roberts. The reason I'd say Jake the Snake should be lower on the list is because...
no, but you allowed him to be where he is.
Yeah, I have.
So why have you allowed him to be where he is? That's because obviously he's not
I'm a compromising man.
But you can't compromise. You agreed to it.
And so Jake was great. When he did a DDT, the whole crowd were ready for a DDT, and it was It was a finisher which a wrestler was built on, almost, at times, I think, during the pay-per-views. When he did that symbol, that was a symbol that the DDT was coming, and the anticipation for that from the crowd was there straight from the moment that he walked in. I think that's why Jake is on the list. I think Jake really helped develop... His
promos are better than anyone.
His promos are incredible.
Better than anyone, but Macho Man Randy Savage, perhaps.
Yeah.
Than anyone on this list.
At the time, a lot of the promos were shouting at the camera, and Jake took it back and actually just whispered to the camera, and that was excellent, absolutely brilliant. My problem with Jake the Snake was I don't think he's had great matches at the pay-per-views that we've watched. I'd argue his best match that we've seen was at the big event in Canada on...
Which was a flipping terrible
Which was
pay-per-view.
an awful pay-per-view. But it was against Ricky Steamboat, and that's why I'm quite happy that them two are at least together. I thought Steamboat brought out better matches in people than Jake the Snake did, because I think like Jake's stuff with Andre was more about character, and I respect that. I think Jake the Snake has better stuff coming up. I think Jake the Snake stuff with Undertaker is wonderful. I think Jake the Snake stuff with what's the other Jake the Snake one that I really like?
There's a couple of really good ones.
What's another one that's coming up soon? Jake the Snake.
Well, he's just finishing up with $1 Million Man, or he's finished up with $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
He's got.
There's another really good one coming up.
I'm trying to think, but he's got some incredible feuds. Notable one coming up in the near, well, not necessarily near future, but he has the Undertaker coming up as well.
He does.
Yep. So Jake the Snake, I'm pleased he made the list. To number 5, that was number 5, and number 4.
Has watching Jake the Snake to you been as good as you remembered him, or do you remember his later stuff more?
I remember. No, this is his best stuff.
You prefer this stuff? I prefer his later stuff. I prefer his Undertaker stuff that's coming up in the next few years.
As a heel, yeah. As a heel,
I prefer him as a heel and then as a face.
Okay.
But we're allowed to disagree. Number 4.
No, we're not.
We are. We are. No, number 4 is the ravishing one, Rick Rude. Now, Rick Rude come to the WWF about, from what I remember, I think it's around the same time as the Ultimate Warrior. To me, I get far more excited at seeing a Rick Rude match. And his character work is excellent. His wrestling style is excellent.
In terms of his character, he has a character in this top 4 only short to Macho Man, in my opinion. I think that Hogan. I don't think that other people that are in our top 4. I think that other people that are in our top 4 aren't as savvy on a character level, aren't as interesting on a character level as Rude. No. The only reason the people that are above him are because of general impact and overall impact on the world.
Yeah, partly.
And popular culture.
I think his ring work's great, and I think his selling is great, and I love a wrestler that can sell. And
Oh,
Out of the four people in our top four, all of them but one can sell incredibly well.
Yeah.
And to me, I appreciate that. I appreciate it when a guy loses, but makes the other guy look a million bucks.
And I honestly feel like through looks and general vibe, Bobby Roode now channels the spirit of Rick Rude in everything that he does.
Yeah, maybe not quite as sexual.
Well, you know what I mean. But
I know what you mean.
Similar
I know exactly
vibe,
what you mean.
Totally. Yeah.
So we both agree on that. Rick Rude was excellent. I think we both agree on all of these.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we both agreed on a solid Ted DiBiase. I actually had him at 5.
Ted DiBiase,
I moved him
number
up.
3.
I moved him up because I agree with Anthony on this. Incredible seller, incredible performer, great in-ring technician. And we both agreed there's a little bit of a teaser to an underrated list that he would be not if he wasn't at the top, he would be very near the top.
He was incredibly underrated.
Of our most underrated performers of the time.
He went into the ring and he really worked. And some of the guys, Jake being one of them, some days he has off days. DiBiase never has an off day.
Yeah, no.
He always works, and we can argue whether that was drugs and drink and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
DiBiase was a constant professional in that ring.
Solid, and the most consistent of anyone on this list, I would argue.
Maybe not number 1.
No, but Macho had some off days, man.
We're not giving away the ending, are we?
Not this time. I'm not giving away the ending. It could be anywhere in the list.
It could be anywhere, but you just said number 1 and then you said his name.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It doesn't matter. So everyone had guessed it anyway. Ted DiBiase, reliable performer. Wish that instead of Macho getting the belt, it could have been DiBiase, actually.
Yeah, it would like one run would have been good. I think a lot of people say that. A lot of people in popular culture now, a lot of wrestlers will say that he was underrated, just like we had talked. We're saying DiBiase is going to be at the top or near the top of our underrated list because he's just an incredible performer. So he's at 3.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So number 2.
Hulk Hogan. Now,
I like he was my 3 and he was your
2.
2.
No, 3.
So why was it like? Because me and you, we're not big fans of his in-ring work.
No,
neither of us are.
No.
So, and I understand. Again, my reasons for putting him where he is were wider impact on the world and popular culture.
I think that's why he's there.
And his impact on the WWF or / WWE universe.
You put him at 3, and you put him at 3, but you put Warrior at 2, which I just won't have in. So we slice that down. The reason I'd agree with Hogan being at number 2 is in this time he has been the main event of most of the pay-per-views that we've watched. When he has entered a rumble or something like that, the impact you are more likely to watch the screen at that point because you know that something big is going to happen, be that for better or worse. If you look at a lot of our top matches, like my top match of WrestleMania 1 was that, and it was a pretty awful main event, but actually it was made better by Hulk Hogan. Royal Rumble, the last Royal Rumble, 89, was better because of Hogan being there.
He in ring, he bores me to tears. His promos are silly, but people like him. I like I said, I stand by my previous arguments in videos. I don't think he's a relatable character. I think people got behind him because of the US thing and take your vitamins, say your prayers. Again, he knew what to say.
Yeah.
He knew what to say to inspire kids. He knew what to say to inspire adults, and that's
why.
Fine. And just like John Cena these days, you understand why he's where he is.
Yeah.
You might not agree with it, but you understand why he's where he is. And I believe if we're being objective, which we're trying to be objective as podcasters,
you can't
as podcasters and
you can't ignore his impact.
Yeah, you can't ignore
that time.
So he is 2, and he is there. In our opinion, and we would like to invite you to disagree with us, but in our opinion, the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast rightly and definitely puts Hogan at 2. Now, number 1, would you like to begin before we begin our...
Before we go to number 1, let's give a few honourable mentions
before
out.
We begin our gush fest.
Honourable mentions to Dusty Rhodes. The reason he's not in the list is because he's only been in for 2 pay-per-views. It was easy for us
He was originally in my 10, but
the problem is I was like, he's only been in for 2 pay-per-views, and we've got to try and be objective and look at them sort of 5 years. Demolition as a tag team.
Solid.
We're a solid team. Great finisher. Great storyline involving Mr. Fuji as a manager. Twin Towers. I think that they were possibly one for the underrated list. They were one-man gang in general, or Akeem, as he later become, was excellent. Big Boss Man was excellent in the ring. That tag team could have gone really far.
If it had stayed as one-man gang.
It would have been insanely good, and we've said that too many times.
Too many times,
you know.
Snooker was there, Heart Foundation.
The Rockers, the Heart Foundation, Ronnie Garvin, actually. This was a little discussion we had, because we was talking about putting Greg Valentine on the honourable mention list, because one of our favourite matches at one of the recent pay-per-views was Hammer and Greg Valentine. Hammer and Garvin. Ronnie Garvin was really good in work and really sold that story really well.
Totally, absolutely.
Jimmy Snooker.
Yeah.
The reason you liked his later work, I said that his earlier work wasn't that good and he's been out for a while. Jesse Ventura,
definitely.
It was hard to put him on the list because he didn't wrestle at these pay-per-views. However, he is part of the reason to go back and watch it, just in the same way that Heenan is,
and in the same way that Hogan is an in-ring draw.
Yeah. Jesse was the commentator,
Jesse was
amazing with Gorilla.
And Gorilla was great too. Gorilla could be in there. You put Orndorff in your, and I would like to add, because he was in my top 10 originally, that I took him out for Andre Haku, who I think is one of the most solid performers of the time.
I think he's a great mid-carder. I think, and he never really. If they'd put him up with more stories,
King Haku was his peak. Yes.
Yeah, and if there'd been more of that, I'd probably agree with you in that. But also, wasn't there a bad match between Haku and the guy I never really liked?
There was. I'm trying to.
It was King versus King, wasn't it? The old guy.
No, I know what you mean. And they had the gimmick with he had the makeup, didn't he?
No, I'm on about the guy that had been in Jim Crockett Promotions. Harley Race. King Harley Race and Haku had a pretty poor match from what I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so number
one is obvious. Macho Man Randy Savage. He was always entertaining in the ring. He was incredible in the ring. The way he moved in the ring.
Promos were solid. The way he moved, the way that elbow. I mean, that flipping elbow, man.
It was great.
He's just so great. So great.
Yeah, the way he moved around the ring. My favourite match of this time was the WrestleMania 3 match with him and Savage. It still remains and it is phenomenal to go back and watch. And I don't think wrestling...
Style Savage
would be amazing. I don't think wrestling would be what it is today if it wasn't for the work that Savage was doing. At the time when we started doing these reviews in 1985, not in 1985, but looking at him in 1985, it was very much the big man. It was very much the muscle man. From the Wrestling Classic, which was the second episode we did, Macho Man absolutely stole that show.
Oh, absolutely.
And that pay-per-view there was a better pay-per-view than WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
Which is something that, as people are flicking through the network, they will watch WrestleMania 1 and not bother with the Wrestling Classic.
Yeah.
Macho Man made that better.
Yes.
He made everything better. His storyline with Elizabeth was fantastic.
Incredible.
And the thing is, we're not even coming to the end of Macho Man. He's got many more stories to come. Some massive stories, a wedding and stuff like that, which is great. Incredible. A great match at WrestleMania 8.
He actually does a great job later on. This is in commentary. He has a gig as a commentator.
He did,
He did really well. I mean, he excelled at everything.
Yeah.
It's sad, I think in WCW he lost his shine. Lost his macho and let the madness take over a bit too much. But certainly this part of his life and this part of his career, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I look for people these days, young kids these days are playing as him on 2K18 and appreciating his legacy still. And that is the mark of an incredible performer.
And promos and entrances.
I mean, he had some questionable, like with everyone was about. I think the only thing they ever did wrong with Savage at this period of time was paint him in a negative light with regards to the way that he treated women.
I think it's an interesting story. I don't know how I feel
about
it.
I say, I think that's the only thing they did wrong with him. Yeah. I don't think they should have. I think that perhaps they could.
A bit too deep.
A bit too deep and a little bit too real. And obviously, it was. We're assuming it was kayfabe. And
I think there is stories of how he'd lock Elizabeth away to.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
you
afraid
mentioned
of
that.
being with other wrestlers and stuff like that.
Which obviously isn't
He was
acceptable.
very protective.
Yeah,
He was a very jealous person by the sounds
But
of it.
like I say, so that I mean, obviously on an in-ring level, like I say, Hogan's in here and he got his white bum out for online a few years ago. So everybody makes mistakes, but overall, finishing on a positive.
Look at the stories
yeah,
that Macho's had.
Yeah.
King of the Ring, well, the wrestling classic, if
Yeah.
you like. The Mega Powers breaking up. The breaking up with Elizabeth. I mean, it's
Incredible.
it's been some incredible stories.
Yeah.
And anytime you see Macho on a card, and we're quite critical of Macho as well. Like, we'll watch a pay-per-view, and if it doesn't live up to our expectations of Macho, like, it's generally not a bad match. It's just not living up to that expectation, and I think that's a sign of an incredible wrestler.
No, absolutely.
when you're judging him on the past work as well.
So that was our list of along the time that we've covered the Gimme a Whole Year's best wrestlers of our time period. I hope you guys agree with them.
If you want to see more videos like this, please let us know
really enjoy
down below.
Arguing with each other about this
We
stuff.
love arguing
with each other, so please give us more reason to do so. We're going to do an underrated list at some point, and any other list, if you come up with some ideas, we would love to hear from you.
Write them in the comments below.
Write them in the comments below. Once again, please give us a like, comment and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, Redbubble, we've got merch, Patreon, please support us. Twitter, follow us. We do all kinds of magical, wonderful stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting us. I've been Dom, that's Anthony, and keep it gay.